In this lesson, we're going to look at how to factor a trinomial when the a value is not 1. It's a little more tricky, and I'm going to show you two different ways to set those up and factor them. Please set up your notebook. Our essential question is, how is factoring when a is not equal to 1 different from when a equals 1? So the first thing I want us to define here is common binomial factors. Basically, common binomial factors are just the greatest common factor that is a binomial. I mean, it's as simple as that. You're going to see here in just a minute when we start factoring that we're going to end up with these common factors that are binomials. And so I just wanted you to have that terminology so that we looked at it. Now we're going to look at two different methods for solving. Some of you like the box method. You use the box method when we multiply. Some of you are going to prefer to split the middle term or group it, maybe because you preferred FOILing more. So we're going to look at it both ways. With both methods, I still encourage you to make your x, and we're still going to put a times c on top, just like we did before, but notice our a value now is 2. I'm going to write down all our values, and our c value is 15 there. So a times c is 30, and our b value is 11. And so, again, fill in your factors. Factors that multiply to 30 and add up to 11 would be 6 and 5. Now, normally, or what we learned previously, that if the a value is 1, you can easily write your binomial factors at this point. But because we have an a value of 2, we have to take that into account. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take our two factors from our x, and we're going to replace the middle term with those two factors. So I'm going to replace 11x. And so I'm going to rewrite it, 2x squared, and I'm going to replace 11x so that it reads 6x plus 5x, and then plus 15. All we did there was take our factors, rewrite the 11x to be represented as 6x and 5x. Okay? Now, the third step says to group the terms and pull out the greatest common factor from each pair. So we're going to group the first two terms, group the second two terms, just like that. That's what it means by group. Okay? So let's look for our greatest common factor here. My greatest common factor between my first two terms is 2x. Okay? I'm debating how I'm going to show this to you. Okay, so when I divide out the 2x, I'm left with x plus 3. Okay, just like if we did a binomial. Now let's look at our second pair. Our greatest common factor here is 5. When I divide out the 5, I'm left with x plus 3. Now, do you see something in common? You should. If you did it correctly, you should have common binomial factors right there. And so one of our factors is x plus 3. And then the other factor is 2x plus 5. Okay, and that's it. Now, if you're going to use the box method, we would start out the same way with our x, but instead of rewriting and grouping, we would fill it into our box, and this time we're going to put it inside the box. So our a term would go right here, our c term would go in the bottom right, and then we would have our factors that go in the two boxes. Doesn't matter which one you put where. So basically, it's the same thing. It's just you're organizing it into a box. And so now it says to pull out the greatest common factor from each row and column. So if I look at this first row, my greatest common factor is x. I'm sorry, that was the column. If I look at this column, my greatest common factor is 3. Going across, my GCF is 2x. And going across this way, my GCF is 5. So either way, you're still going to get the same result as you did using the other method. Remember to check yourself. You could FOIL that or multiply it back together to see if it gave you the trinomial. Okay, let's see if we can do another one, especially with splitting the middle term, because I think that's a little tricky. Okay, I'm going to make my x, and unfortunately I'm not done the answers, so you're going to have to keep me from messing up. So 210 and 31. Okay, so I got lucky. We're going to use 21 and 10, right? That will add up to 31. Okay, so remember, we're going to split the middle term. We're going to rewrite this using our two factors from our x. 6x squared plus 21x plus 10x plus 35. Okay, all we did was split it. This still means 31x. I've just written it as two terms. Okay, the next thing we do is group it. Okay, and then we're going to pull out our greatest common factor from each pair. So my greatest common factor here would be 3x. And so that leaves me with 2x plus 7. Notice I'm writing my GCF right there. My greatest common factor here is 5. And that also leaves me with 2x plus 7. So remember, if we did it correctly, we should have those common binomial factors right there. And so my factors are 2x plus 7 and 3x plus 5. If you were going to use the box method, the same would apply. We would make our x. After we made our x, we would fill in our box. Your box might look something like this. And then we would pull out the GCF from each row and each column, and we should get the same result. Okay, I want you to pick one of the methods, and I want you to try to do this trinomial. Everybody should be able to do an x. Everybody should be able to fill in the factors. Okay, take it one step at a time.